What if the spark of your existence, the very strands of DNA twined into the architecture of your being, were never born on this planet at all? What if your heartbeat is not only an earthly rhythm, but an echo of something older, something carried across the abyss of space, locked inside a frozen traveler from the stars? Tonight, as you listen, imagine pulling away from the comfortable narrative we were given, that life began in some shallow pool, warmed by lightning and chance, because there is another story, one older, darker, and perhaps far more unsettling. It begins not on Earth, but beyond it, where comets drift like forgotten messengers, their tails blazing like warnings in the sky, their bodies hiding secrets more ancient than the Earth itself. Picture the early Earth, a restless sphere of fire and storms, oceans not yet calm, skies not yet blue, continents still raw with scars of their birth. It was not a world of gentle beginnings, but of violence. Volcanoes breathing sulfur, meteors carving craters, lightning splitting the heavens. Amid this chaos, one might wonder, how could fragile molecules assemble themselves into life? How could chaos itself become order? And if not here, then perhaps elsewhere. Somewhere out in the cold, black sea of interstellar space, protected by ice, nurtured not by warmth, but by patience, waiting to awaken when the time was right. Comets are not simply rocks of ice and dust. They are ancient archives, repositories of the solar system's earliest ingredients. Each comet is older than the mountains you walk upon, older even than the oceans you see stretched endlessly to the horizon. They are frozen witnesses of a time when planets were still forming, when the very elements of life were scattered like sparks across the void. Inside their icy shells lie amino acids, carbon compounds, and the very scaffolds of DNA. Imagine holding a comet's fragment in your hand. You would not only be holding ice and dust, but the blueprint of existence itself, written in molecules that predate your planet. The theory has a name, Panspermia. It suggests that life is not bound to one planet, but instead seeded across the cosmos, traveling from world to world, carried on the wings of comets and asteroids. If true, it would mean we are not simply products of Earth, but citizens of a far grander kingdom, children of the stars. But think about what that really implies. It means the essence of who we are did not begin in the soil beneath our feet, but in the frozen corridors of interstellar space, in the black vacuum where light itself sometimes seems swallowed. It means Earth is not the cradle, but merely the nursery. Consider the comet 67P/Churyumov-Gerasimenko, the object visited by the Rosetta mission. When its lander Philae kissed its surface, scientists found organic molecules that stunned the world. Among them were the building blocks of amino acids, molecules essential for proteins, the very architecture of living things. How did they form there, in the silent wilderness of space? The answer unsettles us. These molecules are not delicate flowers needing gentle conditions. They are resilient, able to withstand freezing voids and crushing impacts. They are seeds waiting for soil. Earth may have provided the soil, but the seed, perhaps, came from the stars. Imagine this. A comet slams into Earth, its icy body burning, vaporizing, fracturing under the violence of re-entry. To us, it looks like destruction. But hidden within that chaos, inside pockets of surviving ice, could be molecules that survive the inferno, splashing into oceans, mixing with Earth's chemistry, unlocking a chain reaction that leads, eventually, to you. Destruction and creation woven together. A paradox. That what seems like death from the sky may actually have been life's arrival. In the fire of collision, the whisper of life. But what does it mean to think that your DNA has traveled further than you ever will? That your body carries a memory older than the continents, older than the seas, older than the Earth itself? If comets seeded life here, then every heartbeat, every thought, is a continuation of a story that began long before our planet even existed. You are not merely human. You are a fragment of the universe's will to create, a continuation of a cosmic lineage etched into molecules that once drifted between stars. Ask yourself, when you look at the night sky, why does it feel like home? Why does something stir inside us when we see comets flare across the heavens, as though a piece of us is being called back? Perhaps it is not just poetry. Perhaps it is memory. A memory written into the very chemicals that built us. A whisper from the time when our ancestors were not creatures of flesh and bone, but molecules imprisoned in ice, waiting for a chance to awaken. And so, As this story begins, let us question what we know. Did life start in a warm pool sparked by chance lightning? Or did it arrive here, carried from far beyond, delivered by messengers that knew neither mercy nor malice? Only motion, only orbit, only the endless silence of space. If so, then Earth is not the cradle of life. It is the nursery, where seeds planted by comets blossomed into oceans, teeming with creatures, into forests breathing air, into minds that now question their own origin. This is not a comfortable idea. It strips away the illusion of uniqueness. It tells us that we are not chosen, not born of singular chance, but instead, one chapter in a universal story repeating itself across the cosmos. And yet, there is awe in that. Because if comets can carry life, then life is inevitable. Life is not a rare accident, but a cosmic tendency, a truth written into the very structure of matter. And if life is inevitable, then somewhere right now, another comet may be planting the seeds of awakening on another world. What if, as you breathe now, you are echoing a comet's journey? What if, in your blood, in the carbon of your bones, there is a signature of the stars? We live our days believing we are bound to Earth. But perhaps our true home is the universe itself. Perhaps we are not Earthlings at all, but children of the void, dressed in flesh, walking temporarily on this fragile blue world. And if that is true, then the story of comets is not just the story of frozen rocks drifting in darkness. It is the story of us, written long before we learned to write. Think of how ancient civilizations must have seen these fiery messengers that streaked across their skies. To them, comets were omens, harbingers of doom or change. Kings trembled, priests prophesied, entire nations feared what these wandering stars might signify. Yet what if those ancient eyes were unknowingly witnessing not destruction, but their own origin? What if the same fiery trails that terrified them were the remnants of the very vessels that had seeded the chemistry of their existence long before their languages even had words? The mystery deepens when we reflect on the resilience of life's ingredients. In laboratories on Earth, scientists have simulated the brutal violence of a comet impact, slamming icy fragments into high-speed collisions that mimic the fury of the early solar system. The results are astonishing. Organic molecules, far from being annihilated, can emerge intact. Some even undergo transformations, assembling into more complex chains, as though the chaos itself were a catalyst. Life's building blocks are not fragile. They are forged in chaos, thriving where we expect them to perish. The idea unsettles us because it reframes Earth not as the birthplace of life, but as a fertile ground where alien seeds took root. We are gardeners tending a crop we did not plant, nurturers of a heritage older than our world. It makes you wonder, if those same seeds landed on Mars, or Europa, or some exoplanet orbiting a distant sun, did they sprout there too? Do we have kin scattered across the stars who share the same ancestral chemistry, the same silent gift from a comet's passing? The silence of space is deceptive. We imagine it empty. But in that vacuum, countless comets roam, each one carrying its own cargo of frozen secrets. They orbit for millions of years, untouched, waiting, storing fragments of possibility. When one collides with a planet, it is as though the vault of creation is flung open, spilling its contents onto barren soil. Imagine the drama, a sterile world transformed into a garden by a single impact, oceans stirred with chemical whispers that evolve into songbirds, trees, and eyes that gaze back at the stars. And this leads us to a more profound reflection. If life came here from elsewhere, then life is not fragile, but inevitable. It means the cosmos is a womb, and comets are its midwives, delivering life wherever conditions allow. The ocean of stars may be far from empty. It may be teeming with invisible beginnings, scattered like pollen, waiting for the right wind, the right soil. In this view, we are not rare. We are not alone. We are inevitable. But inevitability does not comfort us fully, because it also suggests that our existence is not unique, not sacred in the way we often wish. If countless worlds harbor life, then humanity is just one among many. Does that diminish us, or does it liberate us? Does it make our lives smaller, or does it tie us to something grander than we can ever comprehend? Perhaps it is both. Perhaps knowing that we are fragments of a vast cosmic experiment should humble us, while also lifting us into a sense of connection we could never have imagined. Picture again the impact of a comet on young Earth. The sky is torn apart by fire, oceans rise in massive waves, dust shrouds the world in twilight. But then, after the devastation fades, something lingers. Molecules mix, recombine, search blindly for new patterns. And from that blind searching, order emerges. Chains of amino acids, spirals of nucleotides, a whisper of life that would one day crawl, swim, walk, and finally wonder at its own origin. Out of destruction, birth. Out of silence, song. It may sound like myth, but science is drawing closer to confirming it. Spectrographs capture the fingerprints of complex organic molecules on comets. Samples reveal unexpected richness. Glycine, sugars, even compounds that hint at nucleobases. These are not coincidences, they are evidence. They are fragments of the same puzzle that forms the double helix in your cells. To touch a comet, to hold a grain of its dust, is to hold a piece of your own story, written billions of years before Earth had mountains, before seas spread across its surface. And what of time? Our lives are brief, fragile sparks, but comets carry memories across billions of years. They are the archivists of the solar system, silent, unbroken travelers. When one falls, it is not simply rock and ice, it is time itself, intersecting with us. To walk the earth is to live in a world shaped by these ancient wanderers. Perhaps you are not only a descendant of humanity, but a descendant of comets themselves. Not born, but delivered. If that is true, then every comet in the night sky is not just an omen or a spectacle, but a mirror. A mirror reminding you of what you are made of. Dust, ice, starlight, memory. A fragment of the cosmos woven into thought, love, fear, and wonder. When you raise your eyes to the stars, you are not simply looking out. You are looking back into the story of your own becoming. Consider for a moment the paradox of fragility and endurance. Life on Earth seems fragile, an infant extinguished by disease, a species erased by climate, an ecosystem undone by imbalance. Yet the origins of that same life suggest something far more enduring. For the molecules that became us survived the cold of space, the radiation of stars, the violence of impact. What we call fragile is in truth built upon a foundation of unimaginable resilience. Does that not reframe what it means to be alive? To be fragile is to endure, even when the universe conspires against you. When you think of comets, do not picture them only as icy rubble. Think of them as vessels. In the vacuum of space, they preserve purity. While planets churn, erode, and change, comets remain in cold storage, untouched, carrying with them a memory of creation itself. To study them is to peek into the recipe of existence, unspoiled by time. This is why the idea that life began on a comet is more than science, it is philosophy. It tells us that creation is not bound to one place, that life is a traveling story, not a single destination. History itself has been shaped by the sight of comets. In 1066, Halley's comet blazed above England, interpreted as a divine sign of conquest. In 1910, fear spread that its passing would poison Earth's air. Always they were seen as symbols of endings or beginnings. What irony then, if the truth is that they were never omens of change at all, but reminders of the change they already caused long ago when they first brought life to Earth's oceans. We feared their arrival, not knowing we should have been grateful for their past gift. Science fiction has long asked the question of our alienness. From Arthur C. Clarke's visions to Carl Sagan's whispers of cosmic kinship, the question has haunted us. Are we alone? Yet the Panspermia theory suggests a more unsettling answer. We are not alone because we were never singular. We are not alien because we are already alien. We are hybrids, earthly in form, cosmic in essence. And if this is true, then perhaps every culture, every language, every song ever sung is a comet's legacy, flowering through us. Imagine traveling back 4 billion years, the Earth's crust hardening, oceans steaming. Into this tumult descends a comet, glowing as it dies, scattering its fragments across the seas. Invisible, unnoticed, molecules stir. They twist, they fold, they copy. They become more. That act, that moment, is the origin not just of life, but of memory, because life remembers. DNA is not simply chemistry. It is history, inscribed into molecules, a record of survival written in the script of base pairs. When you see yourself in the mirror, you see not only your face, but the face of a molecule that remembers its cosmic journey. What does it mean to know this? Does it comfort you to believe you are cosmic, or does it unsettle you to realize you are not unique? Some recoil at the thought that humanity is not central, that our beginnings are shared with countless unseen cousins across the stars. Others find peace, even joy, in that realization, that we belong not to one planet, but to the universe itself. Both responses are natural, both are human, and both reveal the truth. This story is not only about science, it is about identity. The comet is no longer just an object of astronomy. It is a symbol of origin. It is a reminder that death and life, chaos and creation, are not opposites, but partners. The fire that could annihilate a planet can also deliver its salvation. The silence that seems empty is in truth full of potential, and the void we fear may be the very womb from which we were born. As this first chapter closes, hold on to the question. Do not let it leave you, even when the narration ends. Let it haunt you when you look at the stars. Let it echo in your bones as you feel the beat of your heart. Because the answer, whether life began here or on a comet far away, changes everything. It changes how we see ourselves. It changes how we see the universe. And most of all, it changes how we see the thin line between accident and destiny, between being alone and being eternal. They drift in silence, further from the warmth of the sun than our eyes can easily imagine. Out there, beyond the gas giants, beyond the faint whispers of Pluto's orbit, in the frozen wasteland called the Oort cloud, countless comets lie waiting. They are not alive, not in the way we understand life. They do not breathe, do not think, do not grow. Yet within them they carry something astonishing, the chemistry of beginnings. Silent, cold, ancient, they wait like seeds scattered in a field so vast it is measured not in acres or miles, but in light years. Comets are not merely ornaments of the night sky. They are the oldest messengers of the solar system, carrying within them an untouched record of creation. To understand them is to look back 4.5 billion years, to a time before Earth had cooled, before oceans formed, before life could stir. Every comet is a time capsule, a frozen archive holding the very same molecules that may have shaped us. Think about that for a moment. To touch a comet is to reach into a past so deep that it predates your planet, your species, and perhaps even the conditions for life itself. Imagine their structure. At the heart of each comet lies the nucleus, often just a few kilometers wide. To the eye, it may seem unremarkable, jagged, dark, blacker than coal, because its ice is cloaked in dust. But beneath that surface lies water frozen harder than granite, laced with carbon dioxide, methane, ammonia, chemicals that, on Earth, help sustain life. As they fall inward, closer to the sun, their frozen shells awaken. Heat releases gas, forms a coma, and stretches out vast tails, one of dust and one of gas, sometimes millions of kilometers long. To the human eye, they blaze like fire, but in truth they are simply the exhalations of a frozen wanderer stirred awake. But to see a comet only as ice and rock is to miss its essence. These are wanderers born in the dawn of creation. They do not orbit neatly like planets. They take paths that stretch thousands, even millions of years. Arcs so vast they remind us of how fleeting our own lifespans are. A comet may leave the outer reaches of the Oort cloud, spend thousands of years moving inward, grace us with a brief passage of days across our skies, then vanish again into the dark, not to return for millennia. What other phenomenon so perfectly captures both the brevity of human life and the immensity of cosmic time? History shows how deeply comets pierce the human imagination. To the ancient Chinese, they were broom stars, sweeping away the old order. In Babylon, they were fiery torches sent by the gods. The Aztecs believed they were harbingers of death. Medieval Europe saw them as warnings of plague or war. Each culture wrapped fear and reverence around these icy strangers because humans instinctively sensed they were not like ordinary stars. They moved, they changed, they came and went, appearing suddenly and vanishing without explanation. They broke the rules of the sky, but today with telescopes and spacecraft, we see them more clearly, and yet their mystery only deepens. When the Rosetta spacecraft arrived at Comet 67P, humanity glimpsed its alien landscape, cliffs taller than skyscrapers, pits and caverns where gas erupted, plains coated in dust that had not moved for billions of years. Scientists found not just frozen water, but amino acids and glycine, the same molecule that helps form proteins in our cells. How could such complexity emerge in the icy blackness of space, unlit, unseen? Yet there it was, undeniable. Proof that comets carry the chemistry of life. Consider the endurance of these frozen messengers. Exposed to the void, they are battered by radiation, yet they persist. Their molecules remain intact for billions of years. Even as they fracture, even as their ice sublimates into gas, they carry the chemistry of life with them, scattering it like pollen on the wind. They are patient couriers, indifferent to time, waiting for an orbit that will place them near a planet, waiting for a chance to release their cargo into oceans or atmospheres. Think of the paradox. Comets are both destructive and creative. An impact can annihilate entire ecosystems, extinguish species in moments. Yet the same impact may deliver water, organic compounds, the raw potential for life. Death and creation intertwined, as though the universe itself insists on weaving them together. Is this not the same paradox that governs existence itself? The ending of one thing becoming the beginning of another. Now, consider yourself. Your body is built of water, carbon, nitrogen, all elements abundant in comets. Your blood carries iron forged in the heart of stars, but the chemistry that allows your cells to replicate, to remember, to evolve, those molecules may have first been locked in a comet's ice. When you drink water, when you inhale air, you are consuming the remnants of impacts older than history. Comets did not just visit Earth, they may have become part of you. And yet, their silence remains. Comets do not speak. They do not declare their purpose. They wander for eons without witness, their tails only briefly visible when they near a star. To us, they appear as sudden flames in the sky, and then they are gone. But perhaps this silence is their message, that the universe does not need intention to create meaning, that life can arise not from plan, but from possibility, that what seems like a wandering fragment of ice can become the root of consciousness. To call them messengers is not poetry, it is accuracy. They carry the message of creation, written in molecules, delivered across light years of darkness. We are the readers of that message, though we struggle still to interpret its language. But with each mission, each sample, each spectrograph, the words become clearer. Life may not be unique. Life may be seeded across the universe. And if so, then comets are not simply visitors. They are our ancestors. The Oort cloud itself is almost unimaginable, a vast sphere surrounding the solar system, filled with icy fragments drifting silently in the dark. Perhaps 1 trillion comets dwell there, far beyond the reach of sunlight, suspended between the pull of our sun and the gravity of distant stars. Each one holds the memory of the solar system's birth, unchanged, frozen. They are not part of the daily dance of planets and moons. They are exiles, waiting, orbiting in patience until some disturbance, a passing star, a distant gravitational tug, sends one hurtling inward. Then, for a brief instant in cosmic time, it becomes visible to us, before returning to the silence. It is humbling to think of how small we are against this backdrop. Our species has existed for less than a breath compared to the lifespan of a comet's orbit. Entire civilizations have risen and fallen in the time it takes a single comet to make its return journey around the sun. And yet, we still look up, still mark their arrivals, still fear and wonder. Why? Perhaps because deep inside us, written into the molecules of our being, there is recognition. Recognition that these messengers brought us here. Recognition that their silence is our silence, that their patience is the foundation of our existence. Consider also the violence they carry. A large comet impact would dwarf human history in its devastation. Tsunamis hundreds of meters high, shockwaves circling the globe, skies darkened for years, entire ecosystems snuffed out. The boundary between creation and destruction is razor thin. Perhaps it has always been so. Perhaps without destruction, creation cannot emerge. The same comets that may have delivered life could just as easily erase it. And in this paradox, we see the truth of existence, that our survival is always precarious, always balanced between gift and catastrophe. When the European Space Agency launched the Rosetta mission, it was not only a technological triumph, it was an act of philosophy. For the first time, humanity reached out to land upon a comet. When Philae descended onto the surface of 67P, It was as though a child were touching the hand of its ancestor for the first time. The images it returned were haunting. A surface jagged, black, alien. Not glittering ice, but a wasteland of dust and rock, ancient cliffs rising into darkness. And yet, within samples of that dust, scientists found glycine, phosphorus, essential ingredients for DNA. That discovery was not just science, it was revelation. The Stardust mission added to the mystery. When it captured grains from Comet Wild 2 and returned them to Earth, scientists found glycine, the simplest amino acid, hidden in its dust. Glycine, a molecule essential for life, locked away in a comet for billions of years, traveling silently until finally it was caught and revealed. These are not coincidences, these are patterns. They suggest that life's chemistry is written into the very fabric of matter, and comets are the couriers that carry it. And yet, comets remain elusive. They approach, flare brightly, then vanish again. They offer us fragments of knowledge, never the whole. In this, they are like memory itself, a glimpse, a suggestion, a half-remembered truth that slips away before we can grasp it fully. Perhaps this is fitting. Because if comets carry the story of our origin, maybe it is meant to come to us slowly, piece by piece, just as life itself evolved slowly from fragments into complexity. Think of their journeys. Some travel elliptical orbits that bring them close to the sun every few centuries. Others take paths so vast they may never return. Some are flung out of the solar system entirely, exiled into interstellar space. Each comet's journey is unique, but each one carries the same silent cargo. They are like wandering storytellers, spreading the same tale in countless places, but never telling it the same way twice. And this is why they matter, because to study comets is to ask not only about astronomy, but about identity. If we can prove that the molecules of life came from them, then we will know that our story is not confined to Earth. We will know that we are part of something older, wider, greater. We will know that the universe is not indifferent, but fertile, not empty, but full of seeds. Perhaps the most haunting truth about comets is their patience. While civilizations rise and fall, while languages are born and forgotten, they continue their orbits, unchanged. They wait in silence, carrying the same molecules they have carried since the dawn of time. They are reminders that time does not belong to us, that history stretches far beyond human imagination. To a comet, 1,000 years is a pause, a breath. To us, it is the span of everything we call history. This scale unsettles us because it forces us to see our fragility. And yet, it also comforts, for it means that even as we fade, the story continues. We like to think of ourselves as authors of our own story, yet comets remind us that our story may have been written long before we appeared. We are not the first chapter, nor will we be the last. We are part of a book still being written, its ink the dust of stars, its pages the frozen archives of comets. And if life did not begin here, then perhaps it will not end here either. Perhaps just as comets seeded us, fragments of us will one day be carried outward, embedded in ice, drifting toward another world. So, when you next hear of a comet streaking across the night sky, do not see it as an omen. Do not see it only as spectacle. See it as kin. See it as a messenger carrying a memory of where you came from, and perhaps a vision of where you are going. For comets are not just frozen rocks, they are frozen histories, frozen possibilities, frozen futures. And in their icy silence, they hold the most profound truth of all, that we are not bound to Earth. We are part of the universe itself, and the universe is part of us. And so, as segment 2 closes, the question deepens further. These frozen wanderers, these messengers of the void, do not simply decorate the sky. They are part of us. They may be our ancestors, our couriers, our reflections. And in their paradox, silent yet meaningful, destructive yet creative, we find the very essence of what it means to exist. For if life came from them, then their message is clear. Creation and destruction are one. This prepares us for what comes next, the violent gift. For comets are not gentle bringers. They arrive in fire, in impact, in cataclysm. And yet, within that violence lies the possibility of life. To understand our origin, we must face the paradox that the same blow that could annihilate us may once have made us possible. They came not gently, but in fire. To imagine the true origin of life, one must imagine cataclysm, A comet plunging through the atmosphere, its body tearing apart from the violence of re-entry, streaking fire across the skies of a young Earth. Oceans rise in massive waves. Forests of primordial stone shatter. Mountains quake as shock waves thunder outward. To human eyes, it would appear as apocalypse. But perhaps it was Genesis. Perhaps within that chaos, hidden in shards of ice that survived the inferno, were molecules waiting to awaken. Picture the Earth as it was 4 billion years ago. Still raw, still unstable, still a world in the making. Its crust cracked and restless, its seas boiling, its air choked with carbon dioxide and nitrogen. Into this violent stage entered the comets. They did not ask permission. They did not arrive as gentle couriers. They came screaming through the skies, blazing like suns, slamming into the Earth with energies beyond imagination. Impacts that released the force of millions of nuclear bombs, gouging craters hundreds of kilometers wide. Firestorms swept across continents. Tsunamis taller than mountains thundered against coasts. To stand beneath such a sky would have been to witness the end of all things. Yet, paradoxically, it may have been the beginning of all life. Scientists believe that much of Earth's water may have come from comets. Their icy cores, rich in H2O, vaporized upon impact and rained into the basins of a young planet. Without them, Earth may have remained dry, barren, lifeless. It is a strange thought that the same blows that scorched landscapes also filled oceans, that the seas we know, the waves that crash endlessly upon shores, the rivers that carved valleys, may owe their very existence to a storm of cometary bombardments in the Hadean era. When you listen to waves, when you feel rain on your skin, you are listening to and feeling the remnants of a cosmic storm that raged before life existed. But comets did more than bring water. They brought organics, amino acids, sugars, the precursors of nucleotides. Each impact was both devastation and delivery. Imagine molecules locked in ice for billions of years, suddenly released into boiling seas, colliding with other molecules, forming bonds, breaking apart, forming again. Out of destruction came chemistry. Out of chemistry, the first flickers of life. The paradox deepens. Apocalypse as midwife, fire as gardener, death as gift. History too remembers such violence. The Tunguska event of 1908 flattened thousands of square kilometers of forest in Siberia. Though it left no crater, the energy unleashed was equivalent to 15 megatons of TNT. If such an event occurred today over a city, millions would die. And yet, Tunguska was small, a fragment compared to the great impacts of Earth's early history. Imagine magnitudes greater, oceans boiling, atmospheres transformed, life erased before it began, only to begin anew. And then, the most famous of all, the Chicxulub impact. 66 million years ago, a body perhaps 10 kilometers across struck the Yucatan Peninsula. In an instant, the age of dinosaurs ended. Firestorms spread across continents. Tsunamis swept entire regions. The sky darkened, sunlight blocked by dust for years. 75% of species vanished. And yet, without that destruction, would we have risen? Chicxulub was death, but it was also opportunity. The comet or asteroid that ended the dinosaurs cleared the way for us. Close your eyes and imagine standing on the shore of that primordial world. The horizon glows with the fire of descending comets. The air itself trembles with their passage, a shriek of heat and wind unlike anything we know today. When they strike, the ground heaves. Waves rise taller than mountains. Skies ignite in storms of fire and ash. For days, perhaps years, the planet is plunged into chaos. Yet slowly, as the fires cool and the skies clear, something remarkable begins. In shallow pools left behind by impacts, molecules swirl together. Carbon chains fold. Proteins whisper themselves into being. Life stirs, not despite the chaos, but because of it. It is in these paradoxical crucibles, part cauldron, part grave, that life may have been born. The violence did not merely destroy. It created environments for chemistry to flourish. Molecules tossed together in chaos found order, like notes of a melody falling accidentally into harmony. Some broke apart, others joined, forming chains that grew longer, more complex. In the silence after destruction, in the pools warmed by impact heat, the first whispers of RNA, perhaps even DNA, began. Consider the elegance of it. If life began through cometary delivery, then it began not in peace, but in conflict. Not in stillness, but in violence. And yet, is this not the nature of existence itself? Stars die to create the elements we breathe. Forests burn to allow new growth. Extinction makes room for evolution. The universe is not gentle, but it is generative. Modern science has begun to test these ideas. Laboratories have recreated the conditions of comet impacts, firing icy projectiles into targets at extreme speeds. The results are stunning. Not only do organic molecules survive, they sometimes combine into more complex forms. Sugars, amino acids, even nucleobase-like structures can emerge in the crucible of violence. It is as though the universe wrote into matter itself the instruction, when struck, transform. When broken, create. Water too bears cometary fingerprints. Isotopic studies show that some comets carry water with a ratio of deuterium to hydrogen similar to Earth's oceans. This suggests that a portion of our seas truly may have rained down from the stars, delivered in fiery collisions. Each drop we drink, each wave that crashes upon a shore, may carry in it the ghost of a comet's fall. Without them, Earth might have remained a dry desert planet, inhospitable, barren. Instead, we were given oceans, a gift born in flames. This duality unsettles. We call impacts disasters, and they are. But from the cosmic perspective, they are also architects. They redraw continents, refill seas, alter climates, reset the stage. Each extinction clears the field for what follows. Dinosaurs vanish, mammals rise, forests fall, grasslands spread. At every scale, destruction clears the canvas. Perhaps this is the deeper law of the universe, that creation does not arrive without erasure. Imagine the Chicxulub impact in greater detail. A body of rock and ice moving at over 20 kilometers per second slams into shallow seas. In a fraction of a second, the ocean is vaporized. The seabed turned to plasma, shockwaves racing through the mantle. The sky ignites as molten rock rains down across continents. Forests burst into flame thousands of kilometers away. Tsunamis, taller than skyscrapers, race outward in every direction, slamming into coasts and swallowing entire regions. For days, the world burned. For years, the world froze. And yet, out of this apocalyptic winter, new life flourished. And yet, within the ruin, new opportunities waited. Mammals, once small and insignificant, emerged into niches left empty. Plants evolved, insects spread, ecosystems rebuilt. Out of the graveyard of dinosaurs rose the lineage that would one day become us. This too was a violent gift, a catastrophe that cleared space for something new. If not for that collision, perhaps Earth would still be ruled by reptiles, and human minds would never have evolved to contemplate it. 4 billion years ago, Earth endured what scientists call the Late Heavy Bombardment. For hundreds of millions of years, the planet was pounded by impacts, comets, and asteroids slamming into its surface with relentless fury. The moon still bears the scars of that age, its craters frozen reminders of the storms that once raged. Earth, more dynamic, has erased many of its own scars through tectonics and erosion. But the memory is still there, written into the chemistry of its oceans, the age of its rocks, the stories of its molecules. We are survivors of that bombardment, descendants of catastrophe. And in this endless cycle, we see the rhythm of the universe itself, creation through destruction, order through chaos, life through death. Stars collapse, and their ashes seed galaxies. Planets form from the rubble of collisions. Life emerges from the wreckage of impacts, and eventually, perhaps, life returns to dust again. It is a cycle that cares nothing for us, yet it gave us everything. When you look at the sea, see it not only as water, but as a memory of fire. When you drink, taste not only coolness, but catastrophe. The oceans are graves and wombs, filled by collisions that shattered worlds to make ours. When you look at the sky, see it not only as stars, but as the battlefield of creation, where comets still wander, carrying both doom and gift. There is a haunting poetry in the thought that life's beginning was written in catastrophe. We often imagine creation as gentle, serene, divine. But perhaps the universe is not an artist of softness, but of fire. It sculpts through violence. It births through chaos. And in that violence, meaning emerges. The comet does not care. The impact is indifferent. Yet in that indifference, something greater is revealed, that the universe does not require intention to create wonders, that beauty can rise from ruin. Think of myths again, the fire from the heavens, the flood that drowns the world, the gods striking with thunder and flame. They were not wrong. They were remembering. They were interpreting the truth written in their very bones, that long before they told stories, their ancestors were molecules born in fire from the sky. The myths were not simply imagination. They were memory, refracted through time. Perhaps this is why we are drawn to stories of apocalypse, to tales of endings. Somewhere within us, we know that endings are beginnings. Somewhere within us, our molecules still remember the shock of fire, the silence after impact, the slow rebirth that followed. We are addicted to the cycle because we are the cycle. And so, as this chapter closes, we are left with a question that burns as fiercely as any comet's tail. If destruction gave us life, what else might it give us? If fire birthed us once, will it birth us again, somewhere else, some other time? The violent gift is not only in our past, it is our future. For comets still move, impacts will come again, and in their arrival, endings will return. But perhaps, just as before, within those endings lies a new beginning. This is the paradox we carry, that we are children of catastrophe, born from fire, sustained by oceans, destined one day to face the very same skies that gave us birth. The violent gift is terrifying, and yet it is the deepest truth of our existence. Out of destruction, creation. Out of silence, song. Out of fire, life. And within your very body, in the DNA that coils inside every cell, lies the proof of that truth. A truth that leads us into the next part of this story, into the alien echoes written into the code of our being. Inside every one of your cells coils a thread older than any empire, older than the mountains, older even than the earth itself. DNA, the double helix, the spiral staircase of life. We are taught that it is a purely earthly invention, a molecule assembled in primordial pools, guided only by chance. But what if this blueprint of existence is not entirely of this world? What if within the twisting rungs of your genetic code lie echoes of alien chemistry, a memory of comets and stars? DNA is more than a molecule. It is a library, 3 billion letters long in the human genome, written in an alphabet of 4 bases: adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine. From these, all complexity arises. The colors of your eyes, the beat of your heart, the very thoughts moving through your mind at this moment. But there is something strange about DNA. Its components are not unique to Earth. Scientists have found them, adenine and guanine, inside meteorites, the fragments of comets that have fallen to Earth. In 1969, a meteorite landed near Murchison, Australia. When scientists cracked it open, they were stunned to find amino acids within, and later, nucleobases, the very same molecules that form the rungs of DNA's ladder. These compounds had formed not in Earth's gentle pools, but in space, aboard a body that wandered the void for billions of years. Suddenly, the question of our origin deepened. If DNA's ingredients can be made in the cold chemistry of comets and asteroids, then perhaps DNA itself, or something like it, was seeded here, carried by frozen wanderers from beyond. The Murchison meteorite revealed more than 80 different amino acids, many not found in life on Earth. It carried sugars, compounds that can form the backbone of RNA. It carried nucleobases, adenine, guanine, that are identical to those in your DNA. Think of the implication. Molecules forged in the darkness of space, drifting across billions of years, falling onto a young Earth, and eventually becoming part of you. Your very body is built, in part, from ingredients older than the planet you walk upon. The Orgueil meteorite, which fell in France a century earlier, told a similar story. Within its carbon-rich fragments, scientists discovered complex organic molecules. At first, skeptics doubted. Contamination from Earth, they argued. But as techniques advanced, evidence grew harder to deny. Space itself is a chemist, capable of forging the letters of life. And then came Rosetta. When its instruments studied the coma of Comet 67P, they found glycine, phosphorus, and other molecules essential for life's chemistry. Imagine that. A frozen body, 4 kilometers wide, orbiting the sun. exhaling the same ingredients that form the very structure of your cells. Life's alphabet is not Earth's secret. It is written into the cosmos. DNA is not just a molecule, it is a story. A spiral staircase that winds back through 4 billion years, and perhaps further. Every step of its ladder is a letter, every letter a memory. Some letters tell of survival in fire, others of adaptation in ice. Some tell of creatures long vanished, others of ancestors whose names we will never know. And within those letters may also be echoes of a time before Earth, when the molecules that would become DNA wandered inside comets, waiting for a planet to fall upon. Consider the structure of DNA itself. 4 bases paired with precision. Adenine with thymine, guanine with cytosine. These simple couplings, repeated billions of times, are the foundation of every living being on this planet. But why these 4? Why not others? Chemistry could have written many different alphabets, yet it chose this one. Some scientists believe it was not mere chance. Perhaps these molecules are especially stable, especially suited to survival. Or perhaps they were chosen not by Earth, but by the universe itself, delivered here in comets because they are the language of life everywhere. When we examine DNA, we find not only the instructions for our bodies, but the fingerprints of our ancestry. Embedded in its sequences are relics of ancient viruses, echoes of evolutionary detours, remnants of genes long unused. It is not a clean script, but a palimpsest, a manuscript written over and over again. And if comets brought the first letters, then our genome is not only a record of earthly evolution, it is a library of cosmic echoes. Think of DNA as music. 4 notes endlessly recombined into symphonies. The music of bacteria, the music of trees, the music of whales, the music of you. And yet, the instruments, the notes themselves, were delivered from the heavens. If this is true, then all of life is a cosmic symphony, played on Earth's stage but composed long before Earth existed. This universality raises a profound question. If comets seeded DNA's components here, might they have done so elsewhere? If a comet crashed into another world with oceans, would DNA, or something like it, emerge there too? Would alien beings, if they exist, share with us the same alphabet? Perhaps their cells would carry adenine and guanine, the same molecules raining down from space. Perhaps their DNA would rhyme with ours. In that possibility lies a strange kinship, that life across the universe may not be alien at all, but family. Science suggests that before DNA, there may have been RNA, a simpler molecule capable of storing information and catalyzing reactions. But even RNA requires nucleobases, sugars, and phosphates. Where did those first come from? On Earth, conditions were harsh, but not always favorable. Yet, in comets, shielded by ice, exposed to radiation, chemistry unfolded slowly, patiently, over eons. Experiments have shown that nucleobases can form when simple gases like ammonia, methane, and hydrogen cyanide are exposed to ultraviolet light. Comets are laboratories in motion, carrying their experiments across the dark. If comets carried not only water but RNA's ingredients, then Earth's first replicators may have been extraterrestrial in essence. Perhaps the first strands of RNA assembled in shallow pools, seeded with fragments of comet dust. Perhaps DNA's great story began as a whisper from the stars. This leads to a haunting reflection. What does it mean that your genome may be alien? Not alien in the sense of little green beings, but alien in its history. Every cell of your body contains a molecule that may have begun its journey billions of years before Earth cooled. It means you are not entirely of Earth. You are a hybrid, a fusion of terrestrial evolution and cosmic inheritance. Poets once said, "We are made of stardust," but perhaps we are also made of comet dust. Perhaps our true ancestors are not only the creatures that crawled from the sea, but the frozen wanderers that fell from the sky. In this sense, when you look at a comet, you are looking at family, distant, alien, indifferent, but family nonetheless. And consider memory. DNA is a memory written not in ink, but in atoms. It remembers survival through mass extinctions. It remembers adaptations to ice ages, plagues, droughts. But it also remembers further back, to molecules forged in cosmic laboratories. The double helix in your cells may be Earth's diary, but its ink was borrowed from the stars. One of the strangest features of DNA is its universality. All known life on Earth, from the simplest bacteria to the largest whales, uses the same genetic code, 20 amino acids, encoded by triplets of 3 bases. This universality suggests a common origin. But why should all life follow the same rules? Why should a microbe in the deep ocean and a redwood tree share the same alphabet? The answer may be that they all descend from the same source, the first replicators seeded here, their chemistry universal because it was not invented here, but delivered. Some researchers have even suggested that DNA itself may be a kind of message, not in the mystical sense, but in the way that information is stored. The code is efficient, resilient, redundant. It corrects errors, repairs itself, adapts. To some, it feels almost designed. But designed by what? By whom? Perhaps not by intelligence, but by the universe's own blind creativity. Or perhaps, in ways we do not yet understand, by intelligence beyond our comprehension. If comets scatter the seeds of life, then all living beings may be words in a cosmic message. There is an unsettling beauty in this thought, that your very being is not an accident of one planet, but part of a cosmic design, whether blind or intentional, whether random or purposeful. You are not merely human, you are a fragment of the universe, woven into the fabric of Earth, but carrying echoes from elsewhere. Human cultures have long whispered of descent from the stars, myths of sky gods, of humans fashioned from heavenly fire, of souls traveling to and from the heavens. These were dismissed as stories, but perhaps they were intuitive echoes of a truth deeper than they knew. For if DNA came from the stars, then those myths were not mere fantasy. They were allegory for reality. We are, in a very real sense, children of the heavens. Look inward and you find DNA, coiling in silent beauty. Look outward and you find comets, carrying the same molecules through the void. Inward and outward, they mirror one another. The code inside you and the code carried by the frozen messengers are not separate. They are continuous. The line between Earth and cosmos blurs until it disappears. Think again of the double helix, twisting endlessly. It is both fragile and eternal. Fragile because a single mutation can change everything. Eternal because it copies itself, generation after generation, carrying memory across billions of years. That is why DNA is often called the thread of life. But what if it is also a thread of the cosmos? What if every rung of the ladder is not only a genetic instruction, but also a cosmic signature, a reminder of where it came from? Every one of your cells carries this inheritance, billions of them, each holding a copy of the same code. It is as if the universe whispered its story into matter and commanded it to remember. And matter did remember. It remembered through bacteria, through plants, through animals, through you. Imagine alien life, far away, gazing at their own molecules, wondering as we do now, what if their DNA, or whatever carries their information, resembles ours? What if across the galaxy, life is not endlessly strange, but endlessly familiar, because comets have seeded the same alphabet everywhere? If so, then when we meet them, we may find not strangers, but cousins. Different forms, different bodies, but kin nonetheless, sharing the same cosmic inheritance. This possibility is staggering. It would mean that consciousness itself, the ability to think, to wonder, to love, has its roots in molecules delivered by comets. That your thoughts right now are the flowering of alien chemistry. That your very self is an echo of the stars. And what does that mean for meaning itself? If DNA is alien in origin, then humanity is not the center of life, but one expression among many. We are not the authors of life's story, only a chapter. But what a chapter! One in which matter has learned to question itself, to look back at its origins and ask why. That ability, that reflection, is also encoded in DNA. It is as though the universe wanted to look back at itself, and DNA was the tool it built to do so. This realization is not only humbling, it is liberating. For it means we are not confined to Earth's boundaries, not trapped in a narrative of isolation. We are part of a continuum stretching across time and space. We are, in the deepest sense, echoes of alien chemistry singing on a distant world. Perhaps DNA is not only a molecule, but a language, 4 letters arranged in endless combinations, writing the story of every living thing. It is a language without words, but not without meaning. Its grammar is chemistry. Its poetry is life itself. But what makes this language uncanny is its universality, not only across species, but across worlds. If comets carry the same letters, then DNA may be a dialect of the cosmos, a universal script written wherever ice and dust collide. Think of how myths described humanity as born of the sky. Perhaps those stories were never false. Perhaps they were metaphors for what science is now uncovering, that within us lies the alien, the cosmic, the not of Earth. Our ancestors may not have known the word DNA, but they knew the feeling of strangeness, of distance, of belonging to something beyond Earth. They expressed it in poetry, in story, in faith. Today, science gives us a different language, but the awe is the same. So look again at your reflection. Behind your eyes, within your cells, is a molecule older than Earth. It carries alien echoes, whispering of comets and stars, of journeys across light years, of collisions that shaped worlds. You are not merely a person. You are a library of cosmic memory. You are the alien within, given voice. Long before laboratories spoke of DNA, before telescopes revealed comets as frozen archives, humanity told stories of fire falling from the sky. To ancient eyes, the heavens were alive, filled with gods and portents. And when a comet blazed across the night, or a meteor seared the horizon, it was never dismissed as chance. It was omen. It was punishment. It was memory. And perhaps, beneath the poetry of myth, there was truth. The echoes of real impacts, real fires, that once scarred the earth and seeded its oceans. In ancient Babylon, comets were described as torches carried by the gods, flames that appeared in the sky to warn of the fall of kings and the rise of empires. Priests studied them as messages, their fiery tales written across the heavens like divine script. To the Chinese, they were broom stars, sweeping away dynasties, cleansing the world with their fire. Records stretch back thousands of years, carefully noting their appearances, their shapes, their colors, as if each detail contained a secret of fate. For to see fire in the sky was never neutral. It was history bending, destiny declared. The Norse spoke of Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods, when fire from the heavens would consume the world and begin it anew. Surt, the fire giant, was said to raise his flaming sword and set the sky ablaze. Was this only myth, or was it memory? An ancestral echo of fire seen falling across the sky in some distant age. To the Aztecs, the sky itself had collapsed before, destroyed and remade in cycles of suns. They believed comets foretold the end of worlds, each streak a reminder that creation itself was precarious, temporary, dependent on the mercy of fire from above. The Greeks told of Phaethon, son of the sun, who lost control of his father's chariot, sending fire across the earth until Zeus struck him down with lightning. Yet, beneath the tale lies imagery we recognize: fire streaking from the heavens, devastation across the land, a world remade through destruction. Biblical scripture, too, speaks of fire from the skies, punishing cities, purging sin, always the same motif. What falls from above is terrible, transformative, final. Why do so many cultures across time and geography describe fire from the sky? Why do their stories converge on the same vision? Blazing streaks, fiery punishment, death, and renewal. Perhaps it was imagination, but perhaps it was memory. Human beings may have witnessed impacts, meteors exploding in the atmosphere, fireballs tearing across night skies, their devastation etched not only into land, but into story. Memory became myth, and myth became prophecy, a way to explain what was too vast to forget. In China, the chronicles of falling fire are meticulous. Court astronomers recorded comets as far back as 240 BC, and likely earlier. They described shapes, long-tailed, feathered, sword-like. They classified them by their appearance, believing each shape heralded a different fate: famine, plague, rebellion, the death of emperors. A single comet was said to shift the mandate of heaven, the divine right to rule. To see one blaze across the sky was to feel history tilt. The rulers trembled because the people believed, and belief itself became power. The Mayans too left codices filled with celestial imagery. They believed comets were harbingers of war, their sudden appearance demanding blood sacrifices to restore balance. To them, falling fire was not random. It was a dialogue with the gods, a call that demanded response. In Egypt, comets were fiery disks, thought to be eyes of gods watching Earth. When they appeared, priests declared warnings, rituals were enacted, offerings made. Fire from the sky was not natural. It was divine presence, an unignorable sign. All across the ancient world, the stories converge. The sky could burn, and when it did, the world changed. For ancient humanity, the heavens were not empty. They were alive. Fire streaking across them was not silent. It spoke, it warned, it promised. And perhaps, in ways they did not understand, it remembered. It remembered the true impacts, the true cataclysms, the times when fire fell and reshaped Earth. Myth became the language of memory, carrying cosmic trauma across generations. The Norse vision of Ragnarok was vivid. They imagined the sky splitting open, stars falling, fire sweeping across the 9 realms. The fire giant Surt would emerge, wielding his sword of flame, setting all creation alight. In this cataclysm, gods and mortals alike would perish. But from the ashes, a new world would rise, green and fertile, destruction as prelude to renewal. It is hard not to hear in this myth the echo of cometary fire, of skies ablaze, of cycles of death and rebirth. The Aztecs spoke of suns destroyed, each world cycle ending with cataclysm. One was ended by jaguars, another by wind, another by water, and one by fire raining from the heavens. In their cosmology, comets were not just omens. They were reminders that even the sun itself was temporary, destined to fall as fire someday. In Hindu traditions, Agni, the god of fire, was both destroyer and purifier. Fire from heaven was feared but also revered, for it was transformation itself. Some myths spoke of fire that fell to earth to test humanity, to cleanse and to renew. In this we again hear the double voice, fire as punishment, but also gift. Biblical traditions echo the same vision. The story of Sodom and Gomorrah tells of fire and brimstone raining from the heavens, erasing cities in a storm of divine judgment. Revelation describes stars falling to earth, a sky torn open, fire consuming the wicked. Whether metaphor or memory, the motif is the same. The heavens can fall, and when they do not merely illuminate, they end. Among Native American peoples, tales describe fireballs streaking across the night, ancestors interpreting them as spirits of power. Some tribes spoke of sky stones falling to mark new beginnings, their arrival signaling that the earth was alive, in communication with the heavens. The Aboriginal peoples of Australia tell Dreamtime stories of fire from the sky, of stars that fell and reshaped the land. Some speak of fiery serpents descending, carving rivers with their burning bodies. These are not simply myths of imagination. They may be encoded memories of meteors striking the earth, retold as sacred story so that the land itself could remember. In Japan, comets and meteors were sometimes called Hoshi no Tama, star balls, seen as spiritual entities, omens of great change. Samurai interpreted their appearance as signals of fortune or disaster in war. In Polynesian traditions, fire from the sky was woven into navigation myths, fiery streaks across the heavens, guiding sailors across vast oceans. In parts of Africa, myths spoke of sky fire as divine punishment, reshaping landscapes and lives. Psychologists today suggest that myths of falling fire may be cultural memory of real catastrophes. A massive meteor exploding in the sky, lighting the horizon, would sear itself into memory. Survivors would tell the story. Generations would pass it down. Over centuries, it would become myth, and myth would become sacred truth. These stories are not fiction. They are memory encoded in narrative. They are humanity's way of remembering what the earth itself remembers in stone. Imagine standing in an ancient village thousands of years ago. The night is still, the stars constant, when suddenly the heavens erupt. A streak of light tears the sky, brighter than the moon, followed by a roar that shakes the earth. Trees ignite, animals scatter, children cry out. How could such a sight not become myth? How could it not be retold as gods in anger, as spirits descending, as fate itself written in flame? Myth was not exaggeration. It was interpretation. It was the only language they had for the incomprehensible. And yet, within the fear, there was reverence. Fire from the heavens was not always destruction. Sometimes it was gift. Black stones from the sky became sacred. Iron from meteorites was fashioned into blades, jewelry, objects of worship. Cultures prized them as fragments of the divine, material proof that heaven had touched earth. Even today, museums hold meteorite-forged daggers buried with pharaohs, as if kings believed that only weapons of the sky could guard them in the afterlife. Falling fire was feared, but it was also worshipped. In this duality, we see the same paradox that science now reveals. Destruction and creation are one. The ancients sensed what we now confirm, that the fire that terrifies also gives, that the sky that punishes also nourishes. Their myths were not wrong, they were incomplete. They told of gods and curses, but hidden beneath was truth. Comets and meteors are our ancestors, their fire our inheritance. What makes these myths haunting is how they resonate with what science is now uncovering. Ancient peoples spoke of fire falling to create or destroy worlds. Science now tells us that comets, in their fiery arrivals, truly did create oceans, truly did bring molecules of life, truly did end eras and begin new ones. The myths were not fantasy. They were fragments of memory, distorted but enduring. Think of myth as cultural DNA. Just as your cells carry genetic memory, cultures carry narrative memory. Both preserve survival, both transmit knowledge, both encode warnings. Myths of fire are cultural genes, ensuring that humanity never forgets that the sky can fall. And perhaps this is why the myths still stir us. When we read them, when we hear of fire falling, something in us responds. Not just imagination, but recognition. The molecules in our bodies, born of comets, recognize the story. The alien within us remembers the fire without. Myth is not just story. It is resonance, the human voice echoing what molecules already know. This is why fire from the sky became sacred. It was not only spectacle. It was not only fear. It was inheritance. It was the universe reminding us, again and again, that we are not separate from the sky, that what falls from it is not only doom, but ancestry. Segment 5 closes with this. Myths of falling fire are not just legends of fear. They are human memory of cosmic ancestry. They are echoes of impacts, of comets blazing, of molecules delivered. They are proof that even before science, humanity sensed the truth, that we are children of the sky, born in fire, carried in story. And so we turn to the next chapter, where myth and memory converge with evidence, where ancient tales of fire meet the geological scars beneath our feet, where story becomes science and science becomes myth again. The myths spoke of fire from the sky, but beneath our feet lies proof, scars etched into the earth itself, scars so vast they are often invisible until science reveals them. Craters buried beneath forests, oceans, and deserts. Layers of minerals forged in the violence of impact. Shards of glass scattered across continents, born in seconds of unimaginable heat. The earth remembers, even when we forget. Its crust carries the memory of every blow, every visitation from the sky. To walk upon earth is to walk upon a battlefield, though the battle was waged long before human eyes. Each stone beneath your step may carry the imprint of fire that fell from the heavens. The soil you till may be dust once lifted in an ancient impact, only to settle again over eons. The very minerals we fashion into tools, the ores we forge into steel, may themselves be the legacy of collisions unimaginably violent. We are surrounded by the aftermath of celestial war. Consider the Chicxulub crater, hidden beneath the Yucatan Peninsula. For centuries, no one knew it existed. It lay buried under limestone and jungle, silent and unseen. Only in the late 20th century did geologists piece together the evidence. A circle more than 180 kilometers wide, the scar of the impact that ended the age of dinosaurs. Drilling into the earth revealed shocked quartz, crystals fractured in patterns that can only be created by pressures greater than a nuclear blast. A thin global layer of iridium, an element rare on Earth but common in asteroids and comets, was found in sediments worldwide. It was the fingerprint of the sky, a cosmic signature burned into stone. The Chicxulub crater is more than a hole in the ground. It is a wound that reshaped life itself. Without it, there may have been no mammals to rise, no humans to walk the earth. no minds to contemplate the stars. When you stand upon the land of the Yucatan, you are standing at the boundary between worlds, one ended, one begun. Further back in time, 2 billion years ago, another impact reshaped the Earth. In South Africa lies the Vredefort crater, the largest confirmed impact structure on the planet. Its diameter stretched nearly 300 kilometers, so vast that entire cities could fit inside its scar. The collision released energy equivalent to billions of atomic bombs, shaking the entire planet. The rock still carries its story. Domes of granite uplifted, layers folded like paper, the fingerprint of a violence beyond comprehension. Travel to Canada and you find the Sudbury Basin, a scar nearly 250 kilometers across, formed 1.8 billion years ago. Today it is filled with lakes and forests, its circular form so vast that only from the air does its pattern reveal itself. For centuries, people did not know its true origin. They mined its metals, nickel, copper, platinum, unaware they were harvesting the remains of a cosmic collision. That wealth, which fueled industry and technology, is itself a legacy of impact. Out of destruction came resources that built civilizations. In Arizona, the Barringer Crater, also called Meteor Crater, offers one of the clearest glimpses of cosmic violence. 50,000 years ago, a small iron body, barely 50 meters wide, slammed into the desert. The explosion released energy equal to several megatons of TNT, gouging a hole over a kilometer wide and 170 meters deep. Today, the crater is stark, preserved, its rim rising like frozen waves of stone. Standing at its edge, one feels both awe and unease. This was not myth. This was not legend. This was real. Far to the north in Quebec lies the Manicouagan crater, now a vast circular lake, sometimes called the Eye of Quebec. Formed over 200 million years ago, its ringed waters are a reminder of the precision of impacts, the symmetry born from chaos. To look down upon it from space is to see Earth's memory etched in geometry. The scar is not hidden. It is a mirror of the sky, still open, still gazing. These are only a few. Dozens of craters mark the continents, some obvious, others buried beneath layers of time, and beneath the oceans lie countless more, scars drowned in silence. The Earth is a body, and its craters are scars. Some are fresh, edges sharp, reminders of wounds still raw. Others have softened, weathered by wind and rain, their circles fading but never vanishing. Like scars on human skin, they tell of violence survived. Each is a reminder that Earth has been struck, broken, reshaped. Each is a memory carried in silence. Impacts leave behind more than craters. They leave fingerprints, unique signatures that tell their story even when the land tries to heal. One such fingerprint is shocked quartz, a mineral deformed by pressures so intense they do not occur in volcanoes or earthquakes, only in impacts. Under a microscope, its crystalline structure reveals the violence it endured, lines etched at angles impossible in ordinary geology. To hold a piece of shocked quartz is to hold silence made visible, trauma preserved in stone. Another fingerprint is tektites, droplets of molten rock hurled into the sky by the fury of impact, cooling into glass as they rain down across continents. Some are no larger than pebbles, others as smooth as beads. They lie scattered in ancient fields, black, green, or brown, their shapes sculpted by their flight through the atmosphere. Entire strewn fields of tektites testify to the range of impact firestorms, tiny glass witnesses littering the earth with memory. There are spherules too, microscopic spheres of vaporized rock that condensed as dust in the sky, settling across the globe in layers only millimeters thick. Found in sediments, these tiny marbles of stone are the ashes of impact, invisible to the naked eye, but undeniable under the lens. Together, these signatures tell stories that myth once carried. The earth does not forget. Even when rain erodes, rivers wash away, forests conceal, oceans flood, the scars endure in subtle ways. Magnetic anomalies, circular valleys, mineral veins enriched with metals, all whispers of cosmic encounters long past. We walk across these lands unaware, but the ground remembers, stone remembers, silence remembers. In the frozen wastes of Siberia lies the Papagaï crater, over 100 kilometers across. Formed 35 million years ago, its impact pressure was so intense it transformed graphite into diamonds. Billions of carats remain buried there, locked away in remote tundra, a cosmic blow, turning common carbon into crystalline fire. Here is another paradox: destruction creating beauty, catastrophe birthing treasure. In Tajikistan, high in the Pamir Mountains, lies Kara Kul, a lake filling the depression of an ancient impact. Its waters shimmer with mystery, reflecting peaks that hide the violence beneath. To stand upon its shore is to gaze into a mirror that conceals as much as it reveals. Off the coast of North America lies the Chesapeake Bay crater, hidden beneath water and sediment. Formed 35 million years ago, it reshaped the coastline, disrupted aquifers, influenced the very flow of rivers. Millions drink today from waters shaped by an ancient impact. Even daily life carries the echo of falling fire. And then there is Antarctica, where under the ice lies Wilkes Land Crater, perhaps 500 kilometers wide. If confirmed, it would be one of the largest impacts in Earth's history, rivaling the blow that ended the dinosaurs. Yet it is buried beneath kilometers of ice, hidden from human eyes. Its existence suggested only by gravity anomalies. It is a ghost of catastrophe, waiting in silence, its story incomplete. The oceans too conceal scars. Beneath their waves lie craters no human eye has seen, scars mapped only by sonar or satellites. Earth's greatest wounds are drowned, yet they remain, invisible tombs of fire. Each hidden crater is proof that the story of impacts is larger than what we see, that the planet remembers more than we ever will. To study these scars is to read Earth's diary of violence. Unlike myth, unlike memory, stone does not exaggerate. It records in silence, in circles and fractures, in minerals shocked and melted. It is unflinching, unsentimental. Yet, within that silence is poetry, a story written without words, a truth too large for human time. Drilling into the Chicxulub crater revealed more than shocked quartz and iridium. Scientists pulled up cores of rock that told the story of the day life changed. Layers of melted stone formed in an instant of heat beyond imagination. Beneath them, rocks fractured by the impact's force. Above them, a sudden stillness. Fine clay settled from dust that blocked the sun. In those layers is the record of catastrophe. The exact moment fire fell, the exact years when darkness ruled, the slow return of light, and the fragile renewal of life. In the Caribbean, glass beads called microtectites have been found, no larger than sand grains, yet each one a relic of that day. They were droplets of Earth itself, hurled into the sky, cooled as they rained down across oceans. To hold one between your fingers is to hold a frozen memory of apocalypse. Other craters tell quieter stories. In South Africa, the rocks of Redefort whisper of pressures that folded stone like paper. In Canada, Sudbury's Basin is a testament to fire turned to wealth. Its minerals mined for centuries, the legacy of destruction fueling human civilization. And then there is the silence of oceans. Beneath the Pacific and Atlantic lie scars we have yet to map. Impacts erased from sight, but not from consequence. Some may have altered climates, others shifted ecosystems, their memory hidden in sediments kilometers deep. Earth's greatest wounds are buried, drowned tombs beneath waves. The sea is not only water, it is also forgetting, concealing the craters that would remind us too clearly of our fragility. Not all impacts leave visible craters. In 1908, the Tunguska event flattened over 2,000 square kilometers of Siberian forest, yet no crater was found. The object disintegrated in the atmosphere, releasing its fury before it touched the ground. Trees fell in radial patterns, animals perished, skies glowed for nights across Europe. It was a scar not of stone, but of silence. A wound written in absence, proof that fire from the sky does not always carve bowls into the earth. It can erase without trace. In Australia lies Wolf Creek Crater, a circle nearly a kilometer wide, 300,000 years old. To the Aboriginal peoples, it was the place where a rainbow serpent emerged from the ground, its fiery descent remembered in story. Today, the crater still yawns, rim sharp against desert sky. It is one of the few scars where myth and geology converge visibly, the land's memory and the people's memory speaking in unison. In Germany, the Reese crater tells another tale. Formed 15 million years ago, it is today a green valley, towns and fields scattered across it. But in its rocks lies proof of impact. Tiny diamonds, created by pressure, embedded in stone. People once built cathedrals from those rocks, unaware they were raising monuments from cosmic ruins. The Earth is a battlefield disguised as paradise. Forests grow, rivers run, mountains rise, cities gleam, but beneath them all are scars. To live here is to live upon memory. To thrive here is to thrive upon wounds. The stone remembers even when we do not, and in that remembering lies both warning and wonder. The scars are not only in stone, they are in us. Every extinction reshaped the path of life, guiding which creatures survived, which vanished, which possibilities blossomed. Without those scars, we would not exist. They are written in the rocks beneath our feet, but also in the DNA within our cells. Each impact changed evolution's script, crossing out some lines, writing others anew. Our very presence is a continuation of those collisions. To ignore the scars is to forget who we are. To deny them is to deny our ancestry. For the craters are not merely marks upon land, they are chapters in our story. The Vredefort Dome, the Chicxulub Basin, the Sudbury Mines, the Wolf Creek Rim, all of them are verses in the poem of existence, lines written not by human hand, but by cosmic fire. Perhaps this is the most haunting truth, that the earth beneath us is a graveyard of skies. Every crater is a tombstone, every shard of shocked quartz a relic of mourning, every tektite a frozen tear. And yet, from these graves, life rose. From these tombs, beauty grew. Out of death, creation. Out of fire, song. Out of scars, us. Segment 6 ends here, with earth silence speaking louder than myth, with stone whispering what story alone could not. We are children of scars, and the scars are both past and prophecy. For if the sky has fallen before, it will fall again. And that is where we must go next, into the fire yet to come. The scars beneath our feet tell us one thing above all: the sky has fallen, and it will fall again. We do not live beneath peaceful heavens, but beneath an ocean of stone and ice, a vast river of bodies wandering the void. Some drift safely, circling the sun in distant belts. Others cross our path, silent, invisible, until the last moment. They are called near-Earth objects, asteroids and comets whose orbits intersect our own. To speak plainly, the fire that carved Chicxulub, Vredefort, Sudbury, Barringer, and Papagai is not gone. It is still above us, waiting. Scientists estimate that tens of thousands of asteroids large enough to devastate a city travel near Earth. A smaller number, hundreds, are large enough to end civilizations. The largest, kilometers across, could strip the Earth of its stability, plunging us into extinctions beyond imagination. We track what we can, scanning the skies night after night, plotting their orbits like beads of fire on invisible threads. But the universe is wide, and our vision is narrow. Some slip past unnoticed until they pass by, and others will only be seen when it is already too late. In 2013, the world received a reminder. Over Chelyabinsk, Russia, a rock barely 20 meters wide entered the atmosphere at 19 kilometers per second. It exploded with the energy of 30 atomic bombs. The shockwave shattered windows, injured over 1,000 people, and lit the morning sky with blinding fire. And yet, no crater was left. Only fear, only memory, only footage caught by chance on cameras. A small rock, no larger than a house, arriving unannounced, and still it carried the power to shake cities. If 20 meters can wound thousands, what would 200 mean? Or 2 kilometers? The Earth has faced such blows before. It will again. Tunguska in 1908 flattened forests across Siberia. Chicxulub ended the age of dinosaurs. We live not in exception, but in interlude. The fire is not gone. It waits. And here lies the paradox of our time. Unlike the ancients we know the sky is not empty. We know the scars are real. We know the fire comes again. Yet knowledge is not power, not yet. We are fragile. Our defenses are young, experimental, uncertain. NASA has tested DART, slamming a probe into an asteroid to shift its path by meters per second. It worked. For the first time in history, humanity nudged a celestial body. But what is one experiment against the scale of the void? What is one success against thousands of threats? Across mountaintops and deserts, in domes of glass and steel, telescopes scan the sky each night. Pan-stars in Hawaii, Catalina in Arizona, and networks across the globe watch for moving points of light, asteroids crossing the backdrop of stars. Computers calculate their orbits, predict their paths, estimate their danger. Each discovery is both triumph and terror. Triumph because we have seen it. Terror because seeing it means acknowledging how many more remain unseen. NASA speaks of planetary defense. Missions are drafted, simulations modeled, deflections planned. The ESA builds missions of its own, planning to test deflection, to map, to prepare. Astronomers dream of space-based infrared observatories that could sweep the void with wider vision, yet each proposal costs money, time, and faith. The threat is certain, but its timing unknown. Humanity struggles to defend against a danger it cannot schedule. And so, we live in tension, aware of our fragility, aware of the prophecy of scars, yet distracted by daily life. The fire waits in silence, orbiting, unseen by eyes, but undeniable in fate. Picture Earth as a ship adrift in a sea of stone. We navigate without charts, the waves invisible, the currents indifferent. Somewhere in that sea, an iceberg waits, not of ice, but of iron or rock. We cannot see it until it looms close, and then the time to steer may already be gone. This is our condition, fragile, aware, unprepared. Knowledge has given us vision, but not yet control. We know the fire will come. We know the scars beneath us are warnings, and still, we wait. Think of Tunguska again. Forests flattened as though by the hand of a god. Think of Chelyabinsk. Windows shattered, people wounded, fear spread by a rock no larger than a bus. These are not myths. They are not ancient legends. They are warnings. Each one a whisper of the greater fire still waiting. If such small rocks can wound us, what of the giants? Scientists model the scenarios. A 100-meter asteroid strikes the ocean. Walls of water rise. Megatsunamis crash across coastlines. Cities vanish beneath waves. A 1-kilometer asteroid strikes land. Firestorms rage. The sky darkens. Crops fail. Famine spreads. Civilization falters. The chain is predictable. Impact, fire, dust, darkness, collapse. We have seen it before, in the fossils above Chicxulub's layer of ash. The dinosaurs did not imagine their end. We can. And that may be the only advantage we hold, that foreknowledge is ours, though power may not yet be. The fire to come is not prophecy in the mystical sense. It is prophecy in the scientific sense, the certainty of physics. Orbits are equations. Impacts are inevitable. Somewhere, at some time, the sky will fall again. And when it does, the question will not be why, but whether we were ready. And here lies the deepest paradox. To know and still to live as though we did not know. To walk under skies heavy with stone and pretend they are serene. To live in houses built on scars and think ourselves safe. We are a species of denial, but stone does not deny. The scars beneath our feet are proof, and they whisper louder than our distractions. When scientists speak of planetary defense, the words sound strong. Yet what do they mean? At present, only a handful of strategies exist. One is kinetic impact, slamming a spacecraft into an asteroid to nudge its orbit. DART proved it can work, but only on a small scale, only with warning. Another is nuclear detonation, the last resort, the desperate attempt to shatter or deflect a rock larger than cities. Yet this too carries uncertainty. Fragmenting a body could multiply danger, turning one threat into many. Laser ablation, gravity tractors, solar sails, ideas on paper, dreams of engineers. They may work one day, but the one day may arrive too late. For planetary defense is a race not against imagination, but against time. And time belongs not to us, but to the sky. Picture the moment of discovery. A telescope spots a faint object moving against the stars. Calculations trace its path. The numbers converge. Earth. Months, perhaps years, perhaps only weeks remain. Governments meet, scientists argue, panic ripples, faith is tested. Humanity, for all its technology, would face the same truth as ancient villagers who watched fireballs blaze across their skies. We are not safe. Civilizations have risen and fallen without ever knowing the danger above them. We are the first to see it coming. We are the first to face the prophecy with open eyes. And yet, knowledge may not be salvation. For what if the rock is already on its way? What if it arrives before we are ready? What if prophecy is not only history remembered, but future foretold? To imagine this is to feel both awe and terror. Awe that we can predict our doom. Terror that we may still be powerless to stop it. The sky holds our fate not because it is cruel, but because it is indifferent. It does not aim, it does not choose. Rocks wander, orbits intersect, collisions occur. That is the law of the cosmos, and we are subject to it. And so, Segment 7 stretches toward its conclusion. The fire to come is not fantasy, it is certainty. Whether in 100 years or 1,000, the sky will fall again. The only unknown is when, and whether we will stand ready, or whether we will join the fossils beneath another layer of ash. Segment 7 closes with this shadow. The fire is written into the heavens, its timing unknown, its certainty absolute. The scars beneath us are warnings, the myths above us are memories. The calculations in computers are prophecy. The sky has fallen. The sky will fall again. And we live in the fragile, fleeting pause between. The sky has fallen, and it will fall again. This knowledge is not myth, not rumor, not prophecy whispered by priests, but fact written in stone and orbit. And so humanity stands at a precipice, gazing into the mirror of its own fragility. What does it mean to live knowing the heavens are not safe? What does it mean to be aware, for the first time in history, that extinction is not a fable, but a trajectory waiting for collision? This is humanity's reckoning. It begins in silence, in the unease that seeps through science into culture. For millennia, people told stories of fire from the sky. They burned offerings, prayed to gods, watched the heavens with dread. Today we no longer call them gods. We call them asteroids, comets, near-Earth objects. But the dread remains, only clothed in different words. The myths have become mathematics. The prophecies have become orbital charts. And still, the question gnaws. What will we do with this knowledge? Some respond with denial. They say, the sky is vast, the chance is small, why worry? Yet the scars beneath our feet are louder than denial. They speak of inevitability, not possibility. Others respond with faith, in technology, in governments, in the belief that if danger comes, someone will stop it. But faith is not defense. Hope is not strategy. And the cosmos does not negotiate. A reckoning is not only practical, it is psychological. To live beneath such knowledge is to carry a shadow in the soul. Children learn the stars, but now they also learn the stars may hide threats. Citizens read of telescopes, of asteroids passing close at millions of kilometers. And though safe, the word close stirs unease. We are waking from a dream of permanence into a reality of fragility. And in this awakening, humanity must decide, will we face it or will we pretend? Philosophically, this reckoning is profound. Every civilization before us imagined permanence. They built temples to endure forever, wrote scriptures to last millennia, carved monuments into stone. But forever is a fragile word when the sky holds fire. The pyramids may crumble, the cathedrals may fall, the data servers may darken, all in a single instant of cosmic collision. To realize this is to realize that permanence is an illusion. We are not eternal builders, we are temporary survivors. Culturally, the reckoning reshapes our stories. Myths of fire from the sky gain new resonance. Religious visions of judgment find echoes in the certainty of impacts. Science fiction becomes less fiction, more warning. Artists, writers, filmmakers all grapple with the shadow of collision, turning fear into art, dread into story. Our culture absorbs the knowledge, metabolizes it, turns it into narrative. For stories are how humans endure, even when the body cannot. But the reckoning is also practical. Science begins to plan, to build, to test. Probes crash into asteroids to measure deflection. Engineers dream of shields, of interceptors, of mining missions that might turn threats into resources. Colonies on the moon, on Mars, in orbital stations. These are not only dreams of expansion, but strategies of survival. For if Earth is struck, humanity must not vanish with it. The reckoning forces us outward into the cosmos, not with arrogance but with necessity. And yet, we are not ready. Our defenses are fragile, our politics are divided, our vision is clouded by the short term. The reckoning demands patience, unity, humility, qualities our species struggles to hold. Will we meet the challenge, or will we let denial lull us into sleep? The fire does not sleep. The orbits do not pause. The reckoning will not wait. To stand in this moment is to feel as though humanity itself is on trial. The evidence has been presented, the scars, the myths, the mathematics. The verdict is not yet delivered, but the threat hangs above. What shall the jury of history decide? That we looked away until it was too late? Or that we faced the fire, not with fear alone, but with courage and preparation? This reckoning is not only about survival, it is about meaning. For if the sky can erase us, then what does our existence signify? If all we build can vanish in flame, then why build? The answer is not despair. The answer is defiance. To know fragility and still create beauty. To know impermanence and still carve stories. To know death and still live. That is the highest form of courage. Perhaps this is humanity's true role, not to last forever, but to shine briefly, fiercely, aware of its brevity, aware of its fragility. To live with knowledge of the fire, and yet to laugh, to love, to explore, to dream. The reckoning does not diminish us. It defines us. It forces us to see clearly. We are not gods, not masters, not eternal. We are a species beneath the sky, children of scars, fragile and radiant. Segment 8 closes with this truth. The reckoning has begun. It is not only in science labs or observatories. It is in every mind that knows the sky is not safe. It is in every story that remembers fire. It is in every child who looks upward and wonders not only at stars, but at stones. Humanity stands in the shadow of prophecy, not helpless, but not yet strong. The fire waits, and in its waiting, it demands our answer. The reckoning has begun, but reckoning is not enough. To know the danger is to accept a choice. Wait beneath the sky until the fire returns, or step outward into the darkness, carrying the fragile spark of humanity with us. If Earth is vulnerable, then Earth alone cannot be our home. This truth has lived in whispers for centuries. Now it becomes necessity. To move beyond Earth is not conquest. It is continuation. For we were never meant to stay confined. Life itself has always migrated. Cells into multicellular beings, fish onto land, primates across continents. Each leap was born of pressure, of crisis, of survival. Now humanity faces its next leap. The sky itself demands it. Outward or gone. The moon waits first. Gray, silent, barren, and yet, beneath its dust lies promise. Water ice frozen in craters, minerals for construction, gravity gentle enough for launch, yet strong enough to anchor. To build on the moon would be to carve the first foothold beyond Earth. A sanctuary close enough to return, distant enough to survive what Earth may not. Lunar bases are not fantasy. They are blueprints, designs etched in plans of engineers and dreams of astronauts. They are the first step outward. Beyond the moon lies Mars, the red world, a place with deserts colder than any Earth, winds thinner than breath, storms that last for months. And yet, it too carries promise. Polar caps of ice, soils that may yield oxygen, gravity that could cradle life in fragile balance. Colonies on Mars may one day bloom beneath domes of glass, seeds of Earth taking root in alien soil. To walk there would be to prove we are not bound to one planet's fate. It would be to declare that humanity, though fragile, can endure. But the outward path does not end with planets. It reaches into the void itself, orbital habitats circling the sun, carved from asteroids, spun to create gravity with motion, filled with air and light. Cities adrift in space, self-sustaining, free from the vulnerability of planets altogether. Some dream of mining the asteroids, turning threats into resources, building ships from the very stones that once promised destruction. Outward bound, we may find that what once threatened to kill us becomes what sustains us. Philosophically, this leap is immense. To leave Earth is to leave the cradle of our myths, our histories, our birthright. It is to admit that home is not singular but plural, that humanity's identity is not tied forever to oceans and forests, but to survival itself. We will carry Earth with us, its languages, its memories, its seeds, its DNA. We will become walking archives, libraries of a world that may one day fall. To be outward bound is to be guardians of memory. And yet, the danger follows. The stones that haunt Earth also haunt the Moon, Mars, the habitats. The cosmos is not safe. It never will be. Outward expansion is not escape. It is resilience. To scatter is to survive. To multiply homes is to multiply chances. Just as life spread across Earth to endure extinctions, so humanity must spread across worlds to endure the fire yet to come. Poetically, this journey is more than survival. It is destiny. For are we not children of the stars? Our DNA echoes comets. Our myths remember fire. Our scars recall the sky. To step outward is to return, not to flee. It is to follow the path written in us since molecules first danced in cosmic ice. Outward is not exile. Outward is homecoming. But outward is also costly. It demands sacrifice, patience, unity. It demands that nations see beyond borders, that people think beyond lifetimes. The building of colonies is not for one generation, but for many. It is the planting of trees whose shade we may never sit beneath. Yet, if we do not plant them, there may be no shade for anyone. The reckoning within us leads to the reckoning beyond us. Earth's scars teach us fragility. The fire yet to come teaches us inevitability. Outward bound teaches us possibility. In the vast silence of space, we may find not only survival, but meaning. For perhaps humanity was never meant to last as one planet species. Perhaps we were meant to be cosmic, carriers of Earth's memory. Seeds scattered on solar winds. Segment 9 closes with this vision. The outward path is not choice, but necessity. The fire will return. The sky will fall. Earth alone is not enough. Humanity must move outward, fragile yet determined, carrying its flame into the dark. And in doing so, perhaps we will learn that the void is not emptiness, but inheritance. The journey ends where it began, with the sky. From the first spark of molecules frozen in comets, to the myths of fire that haunted ancient peoples, to the scars etched into Earth's crust, to the prophecies of impacts yet to come, humanity has always lived in the shadow of the heavens. And now, as we look outward into the void, we confront a truth as humbling as it is profound. The sky is not only above us, it is within us. For in our DNA are echoes of the stars. In our stories are memories of fire. In the stone beneath our feet are scars of collisions that shaped us. We are not separate from the cosmos. We are its children, its fragments, its mirror. The comet that can destroy us may also be the comet that once gave us life. The fire that erases civilizations may also be the fire that carried molecules of inheritance into our oceans. The sky that threatens is the same sky that parents. This is the paradox at the heart of our existence. Our origins and our endings are one. The ancients sensed it. They told of Ragnarok, of brimstone, of fiery serpents and suns destroyed. They trembled at comets sweeping across the horizon. They lit fires to honor gods, unaware they were reenacting in ritual what the cosmos had already inscribed in stone. Today we name the dangers differently. We speak of Chicxulub, of Tunguska, of near-Earth objects and orbital mechanics. But beneath the new words, the feeling is the same: awe, terror, fragility, wonder. The scars beneath our feet confirm the myths. The orbits above confirm the scars. The calculations confirm the prophecy. The fire has come before. It will come again. We live not outside this cycle, but within it. Our existence is the brief interlude between collisions. Our civilizations are fragile towers, built in the silence before the next roar. And yet, here in this silence, we dream. That, perhaps, is what makes us remarkable. Not our power, not our permanence, but our defiance. We know the truth, and still we build. We know the fire waits, and still we write songs. We know extinction hovers, and still we love. The universe gave us fragility, and we turned it into meaning. The comet gave us molecules, and we shaped them into memory. And now, the mirror is clear. When we look into the cosmos, we are looking into ourselves. The orbits of comets are the orbits of our fears. The scars of craters are the scars of our psyche. The fire of stars is the fire in our hearts. To understand the cosmos is to understand ourselves, and to ignore it is to forget who we are. Segment 10 is not only an ending, it is a reflection. The comet may yet strike, the sky may yet fall, the fire may yet return. But whether we vanish or endure, the story will have been extraordinary. For we were molecules that dreamed, we were dust that loved, we were children of collisions who built civilizations beneath fragile skies. The cosmic mirror shows us what we are: temporary, fragile, radiant. It shows us what we may become, scattered across worlds, carrying Earth's memory beyond Earth. It shows us the paradox we cannot escape. Our parent and our destroyer are the same. The comet is not only our enemy, it is our origin. And so, the final question remains, suspended like a star in the darkness. When the fire comes again, will we be ready, or will we, like so many before us, vanish into silence, leaving only scars for the Earth to remember?